What's up, everybody? Kyle Merlett here, coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. How's your Tuesday night? Hope your Tuesday night's going well. I'm very excited. I'm super duper excited to hang out with. We have a two for one, some would say, tonight. It's both Chris Mayhew and Vin Train. You guys are probably all familiar with their work because they're incredible magicians, and they had a brand new DVD project that just came out, Series of Unfortunate Effects. It's really awesome. I reviewed it on Unwrapped a couple weeks ago, and I'm really excited to talk to him. So I'm going to introduce one by one, see how this two. Let's start with Chris. Say hi, Chris.
Hello, everybody.
There you
Chris
go.
Mayhew here.
And then and there's Ben.
Hi guys, pleasure to be here.
There's Ben. So I'm going to start out with the Hangout, how I start out every single Hangout, which is do me a favor, and we're going to start with Chris.
Okay.
Give us a rundown, just in case someone's watching and they don't know who you are. Give us a rundown of who you are, where you're from, what type of magic you do. Just kind of like a short
So,
bio.
a little bit about me. I'm originally from Calgary, Alberta. I moved to Toronto, Ontario recently. I like card magic. I've created a couple things with cards. You can find them, on a couple of the different sites: Tier 11, Illusionist, Dan and Day, Blue Crown. Those types of things that happens, you can find that material there. I've recently delved into performing for stage audiences, like stand-up stuff, and that's been going pretty interesting. And that's, I guess, to sum up my magic career in a nutshell right now. Yeah.
That's sweet. And
and the project, and we made this project. Series. It's a movie project, but with magic.
Yeah, it's really great.
It's also done acting.
And now, Ben, what about you?
I've been doing magic pretty much my whole life since I was about 8 years old. I do it full time now. I make my living, I guess, producing magic, performing magic, lecturing, publishing stuff, just everything I can do within the magic world, just to sort of try my hand at it. And the project was an exciting thing that Chris and I have been working a couple of years on. We really wanted to showcase Toronto magic talent. So we got a bunch of our friends, and we found the material that we thought would best represent them and also give you the most fun sort of magical experience while watching it. And I'm sure we'll talk about it tonight. But yeah, that was the project. And we're working on a bunch of new stuff soon that's coming out soon, but it's a secret for now.
Sweet, guys. Well, I'm excited to have both of you, and I'm sure tons of people are going to be asking questions. But before we get into those questions, I wanted to ask something I also ask pretty often. So you guys are both close-up performers, and for the most part, card magic, there's this kind of cliche, and I've fallen into the cliche of it as well, where card magic is some people think card magic is boring and repetitive, and it's kind of the same thing.
Depends on who's doing it.
And exactly, that was my whole point. Because, for example, I could watch both you guys do card magic all day, because I think it comes down to an entertainment factor. So I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Like, what are your thoughts on card magic, and especially card magic in the more modern, 2014, like where it's at.
Right.
So who wants to go first? Anybody? Doesn't matter.
You want to do it, Chris?
Sure. Well, for me, card magic, I don't know what it is about these paste boards, but they're just a wonderful thing. You can just keep it in your pocket, and there's so many things done with this. Not just magic, but millions of dollars are gambled every day on just these little pieces of paper. So they are really still a very valid part of society. And the fact that you can carry this around with your pocket, play a card game with any group of people that you wanted to, or put on a show, is a really incredible thing. It really is a communal thing that can bring any group of people together. And so for that, to be able to just carry this in your pocket and go anywhere in the world and have something to do, that's really kind of fascinating to me. And on top of that, I just love to be able to, play and create tricks using this item that can do so much.
One thing that my friend Justin Flom mentioned to me a while back ago, because he really enjoys card magic as well. One thing he mentioned was what other type of item can you carry 52 of them with you at all times and do so much fast variety with? Like, you
Yes.
can't really, like, nothing else really compresses that
Yeah.
small into something.
Yeah, like 52 grains of rice would be. That's like another
right.
thing.
Or like,
You could do that.
pennies, but
No,
those,
just rice. No, just pennies are too big, but rice is like that perfect size where you can have 52 pieces. You can't really do. I guess you can figure out some magic with the rice, but
most if
yeah,
you get some weight,
that's another thing. Yeah, exactly.
it's
Don't
like,
feed it, don't feed it to birds though. They'll eat it and die.
okay. What about you, Chris?
You mean Ben?
Yeah, Ben, say. You there?
He's
I think
frozen.
we lost
He's
Ben.
frozen because he's got crappy connection because he didn't pay his internet bills. Come on,
Am I
Ben.
back?
Oh,
Yeah,
he's back.
I'm back. So for me, I agree with everything Chris said as far as performing. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. But it really sort of struck me, or brought it home to me, what magic, especially card magic, can sort of give back to a group. When I went on a camping trip a few years ago, and I was in the woods for a month, and on my own, and every so often I'd meet a group of people, and they'd, share their campfire with me, they'd share their food with me, we'd hang out, and I would think to myself, what can I give back to these people? I don't have the food to share, I don't have certain things to share with them, but what I had was magic. And at the time, this was a couple years ago, at the time I was still nervous about performing, and I was a little bit sort of almost embarrassed by magic. But I started doing, and I'm not sure why. To this day, I don't know why I felt that way, but I'm sure some of you can empathize. And I decided to just go for it. I started doing magic for everybody I met, and I had people who wrote to me after the camping trip. They got in touch with me to say that was the best part of the camping trip. And this last weekend, I was at a cabin with some friends, and everybody had their own talent. There were people who were singing or playing guitar, and then there was me, and I did magic. So for the final night, I got to give something back, and it is something special. It brings groups of people together, and it's a way for me to share what I believe, what I think about, what I care about with a group of people. So if you have nothing to say, nothing to share, if you're not interesting, you don't have anything interesting to say, card magic's not really going to save you. But if you care about the world, if you enjoy interacting with people, magic is a great way to help you do that. So it's a magic. Card magic is a mirror, and it reflects the performer. So it is who you are.
Yes.
Sure.
It's not very reflective, though. Like, I couldn't actually use it as a physical mirror. So it's just a
Because you have to
metaphorical
reflect the
mirror that you don't actually try to use a card as a mirror, people.
And I have one question. So what's camping?
Yes, for sort of magicians who don't like to go outside, camping is
It's a type of food.
it's sleeping in the dirt in
is
your
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, I enjoy my air conditioned house.
You know what I did that you guys didn't do this weekend?
That's because you live in Vegas.
I learned how to throw axes. I did axe throwing and shooting. Yeah, that's right, Chris. I'm joining an axe throwing league, which is a whole nother
Josh was
story.
talking about that, wasn't he? He was serious
Yeah.
about that axe throwing league. That wasn't like a
Axe-throwing-
joke or something.
We have
That was for real.
crossbows, axe throwing,
This sounds like
guns.
a made up thing.
No, it's real. This is life.
Well, another question that I had personally, what are your thoughts, and I guess, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I know Chris has mentioned that he's working on doing more stage material as well, and as a stage magician myself,
Stand-up magician. I would say because stage magician implies like box magic. I think.
No.
No, okay, no, it doesn't. Okay, never mind. That's just my demented mind.
No, yeah, actually, well, because
Stage
like,
magician.
a lot of the stages I play here in Vegas are literally 800-seat theaters, but I'm going out with, my doctor bag and stuff like that. So
Yes, the doctor
you're
bag.
wrong, is what I'm saying.
Everybody has the doctor
so-
bag. I love it.
But what
That's
is your what are your thoughts on doing card magic on stage? Do you think
My thoughts?
So,
Or his?
or whoever?
So that is a very good question because that was a challenge for myself personally, because I have constructed a stand-up act for the stage that is all card magic. It's 20-minute routine. I was developing it for the castle actually, but I'm doing the close-up room in the castle this time, so we'll have
Which is
to.
basically a stand-up room.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a challenge because with the close-up magic, your frame, the stage that you have to fill in close-up magic is this, this frame here with your hands, very small. But if you're doing it for a stage, the frame you have to fill is that entire stage, right? And so if with just cards, how would you do that, right? That's a very difficult thing to do. So it really becomes all about you and yourself and how you interact with the environment itself and the stage. And so that's where, the cards are now just a tool that you're using, but people aren't coming to watch the cards, they're coming to watch you. And so that's the real challenge of how you get yourself on that stage and present that. And so that's been, what I've been trying to figure out and develop, and so far it's been going pretty nicely. But, there's still a long ways to go, but yeah, it's all about filling that entire frame, how you do that.
And what are your thoughts, Ben?
Chris, well, I'll be honest. Chris has been doing a lot more stand-up performance than I do, and he's sort of the reason. He's one of the guys that inspired me to at least try it, because I watched him suck so bad at it, and then over time he did. Man, it was brutal.
Oh,
to
it's so
watch.
brutal.
You'd sit there just crying, and now I watch him, and I'm excited to bring my friends to see him because there's been such a great growth. And yeah, it's a challenge. Even if you had a big box or a nice set. It takes a personality, it takes great scripting to fill that stage. And so Chris uses playing cards. He's also smart enough to use other props. Leipzig did magic on stage with a dime for thousands of people. So, it's absolutely possible to use small objects and entertain people.
Perfect. The next thing will be a grain of rice. Magic with a grain of rice.
Hey, they do magic
stage.
with sand.
Do you know the old Steve Martin joke? It's so fantastic. So Steve Martin joke? I'm a massive fan. So he would go out in front of, Steve was a massive celebrity. So he would go out in front of 40,000 people. He's like, I'll do a trick. I'm going to do something for the people in the back. It's called the vanishing dime trick. I have a dime. It's gone. And he doesn't even have anything. But
or maybe he did, and he did actually do it. It was real magic, but he played it as a joke, and people just took it as a joke. But really what they just saw was a miracle. You never know.
I really don't.
Could have been.
And you never know with Steve Martin either. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I hope.
And also to follow up to that question, if you look at someone who, all magicians should look up to, like Matt Keane.
Yeah.
He does 5 card tricks in his entire show.
So yeah, and Matt King, he's awesome, a really, really cool guy. And speaking of Matt King, this just happened recently, which I was just so happy about, was because one of the routines I've developed for the stage was this Cards Across routine, right? Because Cards Across is one of those great routines where it fills the stage, right? Because you can use the whole entire stage because it has to go across. And this routine was inspired by Williamson and Matt King and Tamariz, but very influenced by Matt King. And I was actually a little worried that, okay, you know what, this kind of thing that I'm using is very much like borderline Matt King's idea. But the great thing about magic is that people are approachable. And, Matt King's email is out there in the public, so, I just emailed him. I was like, hey, Mac, here's a video of me doing this routine. If you feel that it's too close to your own thing, then I'll completely change it, no worries. But he looked at it, and he was like, no, that's fine, perfect, keep using it. So that just happened recently, so kind of happy to hear that, that I have Matt King's sort of blessing to
he's like the coolest, nicest guy.
Yeah,
he's awesome. One question that we had in the chat from our pal Ken, who asked this question. He must ask every single week. This guy asks, and I love it.
Hi, Ken.
He says, do you guys have a favorite trick or type of trick that you use to promote yourself? So, anything with business cards, anything with
like just a go-to. I have a go-to trick that I'll do if anybody hands me a deck of cards and asks me to do a magic trick. Is that
no more do you have a trick with business cards or?
If I was to do a trick with a business card, it would be Nathan Kranzo's voodoo card thing, which it's kind of based off of Hollingworth's voodoo card, but using a business card and. Yes, I love when people do that. I don't know how they do that stuff. Well, I do know. I can't do it. All right. Obviously, I know the techniques.
It
But
just looks
no,
like I'm rubbing my phone in an inappropriate way.
yes, it does. Just caressing it. But no, Kranzo, he's got this great business card trick. You know, that's using your card and in combination with that voodoo card principle or premise, I mean. And yeah, it just ends in this impossible kind of thing, and you hand it to the spectator, and now they have your card. It's all mangled, but it's like a nice, you know, piece to give them at the ending. And that's the one trick I do if I do a trick for to hand out a business card. I think it's Nathan Granzo's. I think it's just called Voodoo Card, Voodoo Business Card Trick Card.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah.
What about you, Ben?
So if I have to do something with a business card, one thing I do an awful lot is Bill Abbott and Richard Sanders Powerball 60. And if you've seen me do it in my lectures or anything, I've got permission from Bill to do it.
Is that your business cards?
Well, so what I do is I write down the number on the business card.
Ah.
It's certainly not a new idea.
Let him explain.
Yeah, go on.
Kill you.
And I have reasons why I don't just blurt out the number, but I want it written down. You can certainly do that with anything, right? Any prediction trick where you write it down on a business card. Bill Simon's prophecy move is a good trick. I've played with a Paul Harris thing where your business card, the business card that you have in your wallet transposes with their business card, and theirs ends up in your wallet, which is fun. But that being said, the truth is, first of all, I'm not going to lie to anybody and tell anybody like I'm one of Toronto's busiest workers or anything like that. I get sporadic shows I do, but most of the shows I have come from me selling what I offer, not necessarily the trick I'm doing. So, you know, I tell them, we talk about what the event is and why they want to have me and what my role is. So, you know, I bring, if it's an office party, I take people who don't necessarily know each other well and who are not used to having fun with each other, and I bring them together and I facilitate a group hangout by doing shows and magic together. Yeah, it's about, I sell the features of having magic at the event rather than showing them ambitious card. I don't know anybody who does an ambitious card well enough that they do it and someone's like, yeah, sure, here, I'll give you $2,000 for your show.
Well, you haven't seen my ambitious card.
I have actually, that's why I'm making that.
It appears to the top of the deck 443 times.
You know what, I would pay you $2,000 to stop. So, if I paid $600.
Yeah, and actually, you know, I'm gonna. So Ken asked this question all the time, so I was gonna mention. He's asked me, and I totally forgot about this trick. So I have this trick that I'll be releasing soon, where it's a visual build change. I've only lectured on it before, but what's great about it is you can do it with a business card, where you borrow their business card, and you, like, in this obviously only corporate people have business cards. So, but you can also do it with a piece of paper or whatever. But you have them write their information on a piece of paper, or you take their business card and you fold it in forks and you just shake it and it visibly changes to yours. And you in clean, but now they have your card with the magic trick, so hopefully they'll remember and keep it. But you also at this point have their information. So if they forget to email you, or like, oh, we're totally gonna email you that gig, you can email them.
And you can like steal their identity because you got all their information, right? Or no, just their contact information. No.
Yeah, maybe you don't even have to work.
Unless most people have social security numbers on a business card.
You can't see it right now, but I'm throwing money at the screen to buy this trick.
It's pretty great. I'll show you. Okay, so you guys are both pretty creative magicians. What is your creative process? Like, is it normally method and then trick and then method? I mean, but also like
I would say
more classic stuff. But go ahead.
I would say trick. Like it's never an idea. Like it's never like I'm just sitting there and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, here's a magic trick that just happens in my head. It's always been like, you know, I'll be reading a book or something, or just learning a trick, and then there'll be a magic trick that kind of speaks to me, and I'll be like, this is kind of neat. I like the idea of this. How can I, you know, make it me? And then that's where a trick will come out of. So it's really always based upon, you know, someone else's thing. You know, taking maybe a concept or an idea and combining it with something else, and you know, just, you know, Kirby Ferguson, he kind of nailed it with the formula of, you know, everything's a remix because it is, and that's kind of what, you know, at least I've been doing, just remixing magic with other stuff. So remixing it with toasters.
You're like a DJ. You just do
yes.
And what about?
Oh, there's some kind of weird bug thing here. Whoa. Oh god. I don't want to kill it though. Oh, it's gonna crawl on the lens. Oh no, it's not. All right, good.
If you totally, actually, I'll answer the question and then I'll segue into
Whoa,
it.
I don't think I got it.
Yeah, just distracted by Chris trying to kill a
Sorry.
bug.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, great. Okay, go ahead, Ben.
Um, I'm transfixed too. I want to know if he gets the bug. This is
Did you get
this
it,
is
Chris?
just like trying to.
I felt
step in
bad, but he had to go. He was interrupting the meeting.
That's what it's like at first, by the way. You'll be working on something and then a bug catches his eye. Yeah, as far as sort of the creative process goes, Chris is a very different type of creative thinker than I am. He creates very wacky things. I am much more of a classical magician. I'm drawn to classical materials. I read classic books and I come up with variations on that material. The one thing I think I'm sort of proud about as far as creativity goes is that I like taking things that happen within my life and using those tricks to communicate that. So, when I do a routine or like I'm working on an act right now, a little act, and this is going to sound very weird, but the act is a sort of an allegory or a metaphor for a story. It's actually an allegory, but of a 17-year-old boy who falls asleep and has a fever and a dream before he falls asleep and dies. It's a very weird show.
That's
and
way more sophisticated than my match.
it's weird stuff, but it's very classical magic, and I've been working on this for a long time. And I see like they're wearing the Dracula hat, and I see a young Frankenstein in the background. And my creative process is I'm open to anything. If it makes my heart skip a beat, if it makes me look away from my iPhone,
Gives you a heart attack.
that's cool.
Yeah.
It gives me a heart attack.
For 3.4 seconds.
A lot of my magic involves tripping over my cat, because that scares that crap out of me. It's just making myself available to anything, any sort of thing that excites me and interests me, and finding a way to do that with magic. And if you want challenges, try doing something that's really heavy-handed or a heavy plot or premise, like something that has to do with the Holocaust or something that has to do with like a girl breaking your heart or one of those things.
No, about 90% of my magic is Holocaust-based. So.
Holocaust and breaking heart.
Yeah. So.
A lot of Schindler's date nights. I get it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about.
I'll just say really quickly, as far as looking for outside sources for inspiration, I just heard these on The Cottage, and Chris, these are specifically for you. One guy's name is DubFX. You've got to watch the video of him doing this stuff. He's a beatboxer, and he works on the street, and it is the most incredible stuff I've ever heard, DubFX. And the other one was a guy, and the video you want to watch is Madion, M-A-D, as in Daddy, E-O-N, Pop Culture. Madion Pop Culture. Crazy mashup, and you watch the process as they make it. And I look at that stuff and it inspires me because, they're doing what I think is magic within their own discipline, and it inspires me to do something cool like that. Anyway,
For sure. I love watching that stuff too. It's great.
So let's move on because we had a question. I know we briefly talked about it earlier, but let's talk about a series of unfortunate effects. So,
right.
One question we had from on the chat, it says, how did y'all decide not to just make another magic video, but y'all's new project series of unfortunate effects? So y'all answer that.
Again, it's all building on someone else that came before us. So Lee Asher, I'm glad that we, is in the movie that we made. He made a movie, years ago called 5-Card Stud, which was the same thing, combining a magic instructional with a storyline. And it was filled with all his material because, he had a repertoire that he could do that. And I remember seeing that, growing up and, being, this is really cool that you can, not just take a movie or a magic instructional, but you can take it and make it entertaining. And so I took that premise and applied it to my own story with the tricks that we have in Toronto from these incredible magicians. And so that's what came out of this. But it all started from that.
It's frustrating how skillful you damn Canadians are because there's some really, really great magic in it.
What was the question?
One of the things we're really proud of is the magic that's on that video really reflects the guys who's doing the magic. So the tricks you're seeing are indicative of what they do. You want to see cool visual magic? Glenn West is doing
Glenn.
Worker stuff.
And
all those guys are cool.
Hinchliff, and all their magic does reflect their style. And Glenn, for instance, you watch that, and people like look at that video, and some people are like, yeah, well, it's a little angly, and I don't know, I don't think it could be performed for anybody. But Glenn does that stuff for people, like he does it, and so I've seen it, and it's great, And I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised when he busted out. I'm like, all right, is Glenn actually gonna do this? And he'll bust it out and do it, and nail it, and the people go nuts, and I'm just like, man, he has the balls to like bust that stuff out, and he does it, and that's Glenn. He creates and he performs it, because there are creators, that don't do that just create for the sake of creation. There's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, I've done that, and it's a great kind of free way to think about it. But to actually perform this, stuff that people would coin magic for magicians and perform for lay people, Glenn does that, and so it impresses the hell out of me.
I just want to say, as far as the question why we did the DVD or why we did the movie the way we did, was that both Chris and I are very strong believers that magic is fun. It should be fun, and learning magic should be fun. Performing magic should be fun. Doesn't mean it's fun all the time, right? But it should be fun, and the process itself is fun. And we wanted a magic DVD where you come along with us on the process of learning magic. You meet the guys we're learning from. You learn the tricks along with us. You get to see the banter that happens behind the scenes. You get to be part of the journey as we go and learn magic. And, we wanted that to be fun and exciting for the people at home watching. So you're not just watching some guy, in his cutaway shorts with the camera aimed at his crotch doing another version of Twisting the Aces.
Well, there goes my new next video.
I want to see that. You and Daisy Dukes.
I ironically have Daisy Dukes. So
that'd be great, though. That just gave me an idea. I shouldn't even say it on here, but it'd be funny if there's a video of that, and it's like really crappy quality. But then at the ending, the camera zooms out, and it's like on a like private jet, like in the sky, where there's like mad production value. It's like, oh, looks like they just chose to make it crappy. Ha!
They used like a red camera to film this really terrible filter.
Yeah, they just had like really crappy filters. It's like pixelation filter.
So what type of material is on the project?
Card magic, all card magic. But it's all card magic that uses pretty much a regular deck of cards, except for I guess color changing deck, because you would need a blue card. But I wanted to keep it uniform, and it's all really interesting takes on your classic plots and whatnot. So you got Triumph, you got Open Travelers, you got a bunch of other things, oil and water. But they're just really interesting takes on these classic plots, and a variety of other material on there too. You got an Ace production by Ben, which I use all the time. It's a fun, simple Ace production to do. You have a trick that I have on there, which is a updated kind of handling of Paul Harris's or Lala's Lulu, or Phantom cards. He has like several names for it. Which, by the way, people that have the project, though, you will see that those Detour on 51st Street and my trick are not taught in the movie. It's taught in the booklet. So for those of you that might have passed the booklet by, take a look at it, because there's actually some interesting anecdotes and stuff in that booklet, and 2 card tricks explanations. And not only that, I tried to actually keep the explanations entertaining as well, and so the explanations of the tricks in the book are actually written with almost like alternate scenes or deleted scenes in mind. So there's a narrative that is happening throughout the trick explanation in the booklet. So you actually almost get another extra little scene from the movie that you normally wouldn't have been able. And you can also try to visualize what's happening. So
I had somebody ask me specifically about why we included a book with it. And that wasn't because we were too lazy to explain tricks in the movie. It's a lot harder to as anybody who's ever tried to write a book knows, we had to write a book, lay out a book, do the graphics for it. It cost us extra money to produce it. But for me, it was important because part of that learning magic process, we're watching something on video, you're jamming with friends, but you're also reading books. And I wanted all of that to be part of this project. So you were doing everything, you know. And ideally, the next step for people is once they've gone home, they've watched the video, they practice the magic. Feel free to reach out to Chris, myself, or anybody in the project to ask for advice or whatever. But then go out, practice it, and perform it, and use the material, and then you get that experience of from beginning to end, sort of the creative process.
Yeah,
that's super exciting if you've messaged us, if you have variations, if you have cool ideas, which has already started happening. Now you're part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like the big idea behind the booklet, when I had when I was kind of writing this project and whatnot, was I wanted to have everybody in it so that you would know who was part of this production, right? And the only way to do that is, you could have, I guess, a video or something in the DVD of everybody saying hello, but it's great to have this booklet that has all these bios of everybody that's on the crew. And so that was the first thing, is I just wanted to have a booklet with bios of everybody involved in the production. But then on top of that, I realized that people might not look at the booklet. So instead of teaching all the tricks on the DVD, I decided, well, let's not teach two and put them in the booklet. So now if people actually want to learn this stuff, then they'll have to go to the booklet, right? So they're it forces them to go in there a little bit. That was a little bit of the thinking behind that as well, for that.
Very cool, guys. One question that we had from Justin was, are you guys going to release more DVDs like Series of Unfortunate Effects? Also, do you think that more Magic DVDs should be like this?
I wouldn't necessarily say that more Magic DVDs should be like this, but I think the real intention is to just put more thought into a Magic DVD. Don't just use it as a blueprint for the Magic, but make something that could be entertaining, that could be watched even if the Magic wasn't there. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a whole feature film, but I see too many videos where it's just the guy standing there talking to the camera about the trick, and it's just very boring, So if you can do something to just make the video as entertaining as possible, that's what really matters. And that's sort of what I've tried to strive to do with any of the videos that I put out, is make it, entertaining to watch. Because I have put out videos where it's just me in front of the camera talking and showing the trick, but I still try to crack jokes and just make that, video as possible or as entertaining as possible. So that's, just put more effort into the videos, and it'll be appreciated. It'll be appreciated.
From my perspective, from as someone who's released material, created material, and also the fact that I do a review show about material, one of my biggest pet peeves is, it just drives me crazy. This makes me want to stop watching, is when I put in a DVD and there's no introduction, they don't say hello, they don't tell me their name, they don't thank me for purchase, because I just spent $30, $35, $40 on a trick that I don't know if it's good yet, and at least what you could do is say hello, hey.
Yeah, and that's very much the standard kind of video format for Magic Instructional. Is when you break it down as far as shooting, it's always, here's the introduction, here's the trick, here's the credits, here's how the trick works, and I always add credits at the beginning. It's like people try to say that crap for the ending. It's like, no, and crap, it's not crap. I don't know why I said that, but credits should be at the beginning for people to kind of just realize where this stuff comes from. And so that is kind of the structure that I've followed, is introduction, credits, trick, explanation, blah, 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 whatever it is, on the DVD. And so, yeah, introduction seems like it would be just standard, but people don't do that, really.
Part of that comes down to, I think, they don't storyboard well, right? You're sitting down and filming something, and if you sit down and storyboard, you'll know that there needs to be an introduction, there needs to be something. If you just pop on the camera and wing it, yeah, you know what? You may forget credits, you may forget to thank people, you may forget what you're doing, and that's why I sometimes you see things like that. I just wanted to say really quickly, as far as the initial question, our hope is not necessarily that more people are going to create movies. It's that more people, like Chris was saying, will sort of
just put more effort.
Put more effort and do something that will make them proud. But one of the problems with the movie that we got is that, and it's not a problem for anybody at home watching, it's a problem if you're in the business of selling magic, is it costs us way more, both in time, effort, or I should say time, effort, and money, to make that movie look the way it was. It would have been way cheaper to just release the DVD From a production, you still
yeah, but it was a passion. It was a passion project above anything else, right? And we knew that going into it.
That's why
it was
when you work on your next project, you don't make it into a magic movie. You do something that you're passionate about. If that's a comic book, if it's a full-length feature film, if it's magic and song. I had a friend and I commissioned him to write an Erdnase Wrath, which tells you how dorky I am. So follow your heart, do something that's going to excite you, and hopefully excite people around you, and that's what we tried to do with this project. And yes, we are working on other stuff that's similar in that spirit, similar in the sense that it's something we're passionate about. It's a creative, fun format to learn from, and it's a little bit wacky and goofy.
Cool, guys. And also just briefly, like I said, I reviewed it and I thought it was awesome.
And you're right.
Really great. Chris was like, but the rest of it was awesome. One question we got, I wanted to specifically ask it. Okay, here we go. It's from Edwin. He says, what fundamental skills/tricks should magicians interested in card tricks master first?
Social skills?
Yeah, social skills definitely. But cards will definitely help with that for sure. Definitely, the basics. Your double lift is a very fundamental thing. Culling, honestly, I've realized how.
Told you.
Culling is so great. I use it so much. But yeah, just the basics. I stick with the basics, learn all the basics. But is he asking what the basics are?
No, what would you suggest if a beginner was coming up to you and say, what tricks or moves do you suggest I learn first?
Oh, okay, well then definitely
definitely
not culling. Culling is more for advanced.
Or that are mandatory for you to learn first. Like, what are the first things that you should do?
Right.
Are there mandatory sleights? Like, I remember at Magic Club being told by one person, if I couldn't do a top change, I was never going to make a living.
No, I'd say, if you're interested in the magic, you're going to learn it all over time, right? It really depends on what you start. I started with a crap load of packet tricks. I learned all my sleight of hand and magic from buying countless packet tricks at the magic shop, and each one taught me a new sleight. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that I could have just learned it all in one book that I could have bought. So it's really up to that kid's own path and what he takes, really. And anybody's path is going to be their own unique path. But really, if you're interested in the magic thing, you'll learn it all eventually. But you could save yourself the trouble and buy a book like Royal Road to Card Magic or Card College and learn all the sleights in there. Or you could go the route and just, buy random magic card tricks and stuff and learn the sleights that way. But anyway, you're going to be learning them all because it's just, they're all there.
What are your thoughts, Ben?
I think that a better answer is find a good source to learn from. People talk about Royal Road all the time. I'm not going to disparage it too much. But look, bottom line is it was written in, I think, 1946. It's an older book. Still chock full of great stuff. But what I always tell kids at the Magic Store is grab a book, open the book in the store, and just start reading it. If your Magic Store doesn't let you open the book and read it before you buy it, that is not a good Magic Store. And I'll go on and say that right now. Because honestly, you open certain Magic books, and I think to myself, I could never read this. And other books, you'll be surprised. The Stuart Jane books, I used to tell people I used to take them out at night to read them to fall asleep because I thought they'd be boring. And it was like a trap because I'd be up for 6 hours. Because they're beautifully written.
Crazy.
It's crazy stuff, but it's also really well written. I think find a book like Card College, and he will give you a path to follow.
Find something that interests you that's going to keep you going, right? If you find a book and it's terrible and makes you uninterested, then get rid of it, right? But if there's something you find that's going to keep you interested in the card magic and keep you going, then keep reading it.
I mean, the classic answer for sleights you need to have, I guess, for cards, and there's truth to it, is
double lift, pass,
double lift, a palm, a control,
culling,
force. And then I think there's 4. I think really, if you can do a double lift, if you can do a control of some sort, if you can do a force of some sort,
false shuffle.
You can do false shuffle to me is the 5th false shuffle or a
pistol shuffle. Have you ever seen that one?
What the?
That's where your thumb just moves. Is it deceptive?
I don't know if people can see you or not.
Yeah, no, they can. They can.
Can I just? What if the hand moves more? How is that false shuffle?
That's a Harry Lorraine false shuffle, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Just joking, Mr. Lorraine. I'm a big fan.
I'm telling him. This is live.
Yeah, I know,
He knows.
I'm doomed.
Okay, are we good?
We're back on track.
Okay, good. So one question that we had from Simon, who I owe a Skype call to, and I haven't called him back in a month.
He apologizes, Simon.
I'm apologizing now. He says, "Hey guys, seeing you both perform for lay people as well as lecture for magicians, what are your personal preference for choosing material to put in a lecture?" And this is a two-part question. So one is lecture, and then the other question, which I have to pull up here on my computer, it says, "I'm also curious about seeing how you two go about putting together an act." Let's start with the act, because I think a lecture, I mean, only a certain amount of people can do a lecture because you have to have material to teach. So
Right.
what is your process of putting together an act? Go.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so like a stand-up act. Process. That is interesting. What has been the process? So to put together an act, honestly, the process for me, I guess, actually starts off with like just jokes. Like I'll come up with like a bunch of like strange kind of jokes and stuff, and then I figure out how to implement them in a show around magic. But also, I guess, as far as material goes, you do need to know the material for sure that you're going to perform, and so that is actually the most difficult part, is figuring out what material you want to put in the act, because every single trick counts. I guess the only thing I can use an example is the stand-up act I've been developing, but it's all card tricks, and so it really came down to what card tricks could play for a big audience. And so Invisible Deck is a trick that can play for pretty much any kind of audience. You know, it's just so universal and great. And then Cards Across, you know, that fills the stage, so that's a good trick to do. And then the third trick I've been working on is this routine by my friend Brett Bishop from Minneapolis, and he came up with this great stripping routine with a deck of cards, and I have permission from him to use that in my act. And so that was, I guess, you know, the decision is, you know, how to create the act was first choosing the material that you want to perform, and then you got to figure out how to make it all work together. Right, and that's where the kind of jokes for me came, where I just had all these random jokes that I wanted to use. And I was like, okay, these can kind of work within the frame of this act and whatnot, and you just kind of string it together. But I don't know, yeah.
What about you, Ben?
What kind of ants?
I'm not going to answer putting together an act. I don't really have one that I'm at least certainly not.
Unscript it. You gotta script it. That's important.
And you know, like I said, I've watched guys like Chris and also my friends James and another Chris Westfall, and people developing these acts, and it's really awesome to watch. I don't have an act that I've thought of. I do primarily strolling magic. That's my thing. And I have sets, but it's different. I will answer the lecture question, though. Lecturing is far and away my favorite thing in the world to do. And I know I'm a dork, and I admit it, and I'm totally proud of being a dork. That was my dream. Some guys dream of being like rock stars, or they dream of being on stage, you know, performing for 5,000 people's magic. My dream since I was 14 years old was to be a magic lecturer. That is what I wanted to do, and I treat my magic lecture like it's an act. So I have scripted the very beginning. I have scripted jokes. I think
everybody should do that.
You know, and you treat it, and I've worked for the past like almost 10 years with other lecturers organizing tours. I've traveled with some of the best lecturers in the world, some guys who have been doing it 40 years, some guys who are brand new. The guys most successful treat it like it's a show. Every moment has to be entertaining. When they're doing tricks, they're entertaining people. But the explanations are not a break in the entertainment. The explanations are an integral part. And so I have jokes in the explanations. I have running gags in the explanations. I have tricks that I think are well connected. I have tricks that, you know, when Chris and I did our joint lecture, my opening trick was a trick that involved a coupon for back massages from Chris Mayhew. It's a long story, but that's what we opened with. The closing piece, the final revelation
Massages from this guy.
was the final thing we did was a revelation that was on the back of this coupon. So there was this, it was a show designed to be a full circle show and theatrical, and that's what I think all your magic should be about: creating this experience, figuring out what it is you want to say, and making it exciting.
In any kind of avenue that it is, whether it be a lecture or an actual show or just, one quick trick. Make that stuff go round.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would. It's funny. So as a full-time performer, I agree and I also disagree with you guys. So my show.
Are you allowed to disagree with us right now?
I'll do whatever I want.
Long enough.
My show is. I've never really scripted any new act that I've ever done. I've scripted it loosely.
Yes. I was actually just thinking about this. I was just thinking about scripting, because, as far as scripting goes, there is two types of scripting, right? There is the scripting where you just sit down, right, and just write out the act, right, and then you memorize that script, right? But I think the better way of scripting, or at least the more natural way of scripting, which I've done, is I've developed everything on stage naturally, and so the script has been a natural script. But I still think there's something important about taking that natural script that you've created in your head and actually just laying it down in a screen in front of you so that you can articulate it to someone, right? It really helps clear up those ideas. And I was actually with that train of thought of like, I don't want to script it all. It's all going to be natural in my head, until my friend Tyler Wilson he said that. He said basically just script it, even if you don't want to, because it's going to really help you articulate the thoughts that are in your head.
Sure.
Right? And that's the one.
I agree to that. I guess I agree to that.
Yeah.
I mean, like most of the way how I do it is I have key points that I know that I need to say, or like key jokes, key moments, and the rest of it, I guess what I'm trying to say is like it only happens. I only don't script it the first 10 times. Because after the time or so I've done it,
you develop it.
I remember those moments from the last 10 performances.
Exactly.
Normally, that's the scripting or that's the presentation I stick with. But if you guys look at, like, and I'll just use him as an example, and I'm sorry if anybody is a huge David Copperfield fan, but, like, his stuff is so scripted that sometimes, like, when I've seen David perform, he will have a perfect moment for an impromptu joke or improv or something, but because it's so scripted and he's such a script, he will totally bypass this amazing moment for a setup and just won't do it because they're so scripted. So I think you have to find the middle ground of,
I think
for sure.
Scripting gets a bad flack sometimes because people think it's synonymous with fake. Like it's not natural, it's not real. That's not true. Like you guys were saying, let it develop organically. It should be of you. But
again, you can still have a script and still, yes, and a situation that occurs that wouldn't naturally occur or wouldn't necessarily occur within the script, right? Because that's what improvisation is all about, is just going with those moments, right? But it's all about how you get back on the script after those moments.
Sure.
And so that's what a good performer will do is, they'll just be able to yes and certain situations. And so that's kind of what I've really done in the show that I've been kind of putting together, is just trying to come up with different, I'm excited for those moments that I'm not expecting because, where is the show going to go from there? How are we going to take it?
Part of the reason you can do that, though, is that because you've scripted it, you can step away from the script.
Yeah, you have that blueprint. You have that blueprint, right? So you can always get back on track.
And those points that you guys talked about, like having not necessarily a word-for-word script, but having points that you want to hit or things you want to hit in your script, that only comes from scripting. When you sit down, I really think that when you sit down, after you've gone through it, performed it a few times, it's sort of, sort of to an extent what you want to say, you sit down, you work out a taller script, and it lets you know, maybe there aren't points that maybe there are points you don't need to say. Maybe they're superfluous, and maybe there's stuff you're not saying that when you look at the script in front of you, you'll notice you're missing. It's like refining an essay.
Yeah.
But you don't have to stick with it exactly. Just now, once it's so ingrained in your mind, if someone says something that you think is funny or interesting, go for it, and now you can jump back on script.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people don't even know that. I mean, this whole conversation that we've been having has been completely scripted. I mean, it
Except for
seems
this
so,
part.
and
Even
prompts.
right now, what we're doing.
Like even
is
right now when we're
scripted.
talking over each other, it's actually scripted.
Yes.
You know, it's
It
Excellent.
just says make a lot of noise in the script.
One question I have for you, and this is probably my final question, just because we only have a couple minutes left. This is one of my favorite questions to ask. As a performer, we have crazy things happen to us on stage and while performing, or even in a walk around restaurant situation, whatever it may be. What is the craziest thing that's ever happened to you while performing? Like, what's gone wrong? Like, what's gone insanely right, surprisingly, by accident? What's happened?
Insanely right. I like the insanely right one. There's
I've
been
never
so
had
much that's gone insanely wrong that it's like I like to answer the insanely right one.
I've never had anything go that good.
Oh god. One time, this is just I was doing a trick for just a group of friends, and it was Title Belt by Martin Nash, and there's a trick where you basically produce the four aces.
Mhm.
Or the four kings. Yes, you produce the four kings. Or you produce three kings, and then the third one, or the fourth one, you make a mistake and you make it a 4, right? Or you produce a 4. And then you make all the kings 4s so that you correct the situation and whatnot. So that's the trick. So I'm doing this for like a group of people. And I produced 3 kings, and I'm about to do the 4th one and do the like, oh, fake mess up. And I love to fake mess up. It's always fun. But before I go to produce the 4, one of the guys is like, wait. All right. Yeah, you're a magician. Everybody produces the aces as magicians. Let's see you do something else like produce the 4s. And I was just like, oh, buddy, you're in for a world of pain. And the 4s, okay. Boom, produced a 4. I was like, well, there's one. Why don't we make them all? And then bam! And they didn't know what hit them. It was great. It was rare moments in time that will never happen again. But,
So obviously that went wrong. So
yes.
I'll give you a bad one and a good one. Bad one was I was doing a show. This is one of my first shows, 16 years old. I said I didn't do stand-up. I was doing stand-up for some reason at Casa Loma. And it's just a castle that was brought over from Ireland, and I was performing. And I did one set in the morning, and I went for lunch, and this guy, this owner of this restaurant, said, hey, are you the magician from Casa Loma? And I was like, yeah. He goes, oh, you were great. So I felt really good. He says, what are you ordering? I said, chicken wings. He says, you like them spicy? I said, I love them spicy. He goes, they're on the house. And he gave me these, and I ate them. And it wasn't until I got back to the venue that I realized my tongue was swollen to like twice the size.
oh no.
So I went on stage, and I'm like, and I know, and I talk a lot, so it's sort of a nightmare. A good one was, and this is a weird moment, I practice magic, like I'm sure we all do on the subways or the buses.
Sure.
And so I used to drive to school, and I would shuffle, and I'd always do the same thing. It's actually on the series of Unfortunate Effects DVD. I would shuffle the deck, I would false shuffle, keep the aces, and then I would do my Training Wheels production. So, and I would watch out of the corner of my eyes to see who was paying attention. And so I'd shuffle the deck, and boom, 4 aces would appear. And nobody ever said anything. Nobody seemed to care. And I was like, oh, shucks, maybe they're, whatever. But one day, I did it, and I shuffled, and I produced the aces, and this guy across the subway just lost his mind. And he stood up, and he says, every morning I ride the subway with you. Every morning I see you shuffling that damn deck. Every morning if I have, what the heck is, and then he left the subway just enraged. And I don't know what happened in his life. I don't know what happened in that moment. But I guess this guy had just been watching me in the mornings, and there's this kid finding the aces, and he couldn't figure it out, and he just got frustrated and left.
That's really funny. He's like, F this, and flips the train.
I remember him picking up, he had a brown little bag, satchel bag, and he just got off the bus. And I'd like to think that that wasn't his stop, that he got off that bus so that he could catch the next one. But I don't know if that's true.
That's awesome.
I like magic because it ruins people's mornings. I guess
It just ruins their morning. They have to go by Starbucks, and they just, I mean, what do you guys drink? Tim Hortons? I don't know.
Water. I just drink water all the time. I was talking yesterday to someone, and it's true. I have to drink water every 2 minutes.
It's true. I've been timing you, and
I know. Actually, if you watch this video, I've probably been drinking this water so much.
You know, when we were,
It's almost empty. I need more water.
I did a show with Chris, and it was one of my first stand-up shows, this new stand-up show I was doing, and I had these women on stage, and I'm trying to talk, and one of them, this very nice woman, she stopped me, put her hand on my shoulder, and she said, "Do you need a glass of water, young man?" Because my mouth was so dry on that stage. I just want to say, before you log off, anybody who was posting comments or questions that we didn't answer, I'm on Facebook, so is Chris. Shoot us those questions. We're happy to answer them. And also to the numerous ladies watching Chris and I right now. We love each and every one of you. So that's for you, Mom.
So what's next? I guess this will be the final question. So what's next for both of you? Anything big and exciting happening?
This June 20th to end of July, I'll be doing a West Coast lecture tour with Tyler Wilson. So if you're in that area, West Coast. So West Coast. We start in Vancouver down to LA. Might even pass by Vegas and come visit you.
Yeah, I'll come see you.
Pretty cool. And then we're ending it at the Magic Castle. So that'll be happening. So this summer, if you're in that area, come visit. I'd love to see you jam and hang out. That'll be good. And so that's.
Where can you find that information out on your Facebook page?
I'll post it on Facebook and stuff.
Cool. And what about you, Ben?
So two things. One is I'm working on another lecture tour. I just did Europe's, I guess, England, Scotland, and Amsterdam. So the next tour I'm working on is Germany, Spain, and Italy. And that should be exciting. And hopefully Chris or Tyler will come along because that'll be pretty cool. But the other thing I'm working on right now is 5 Academy Magic, which is a website that I started, and it comes down to, and there's a lot of people doing this now, and it's really cool to see. I know Murphy's is doing it. I know Blue Crown is doing it. All these guys, we're shooting Magic the way we want to shoot it. The stuff I'm making and the stuff I'm producing, the way I'm producing it, is for people like me who love Magic the way I do, or who enjoy it. And all these companies now are doing these great jobs, and they're so different. No one confuses an Illusionist product with a Murphy's project, with a Dan and Dave project. You have these different styles. So 5 Academy is a Magic company producing new Magic, and it also has a free blog and stuff, and we'll be having free tricks. But it's just a fun way to create new original Magic, share it with people in hopefully a fun format, and in conjunction with some of the Murphy stuff. So lecturing and performing every so often, and this company are my big things.
Awesome. Cool, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it, and let's hopefully have you guys back again.
Fun talking to you.
Thank you so much. It was
great. Pleasure. I was really good.
And I brought, I don't know.
I'm touching your face right now.
I brought
this is a face touch.
Free tofu for everybody.
Face caress.
You brought what? Free tofu?
Free tofu.
Why is it in a cup?
My mom gave it to me. She thought I might want it.
Tofu?
It's
in a cup.
Tofu. It's like meat, but if it had no flavor.
Are you a vegetarian?
No, oh god, no.
Oh. Why is it in a cup?
It's not in a cup. It's in a little container.
Oh, is it? Okay. I thought you just had like a glass of tofu. Like, instead of Coke, it's tofu.
Oh, here's a little tip for all you kids at home. I've been making this the past week. It's going to sound gross, but it's so delicious. Whole wheat bread, lightly toasted, a little bit of peanut butter, a little bit of hot sauce. I know this sounds weird. And then diced green apples. The sandwich is delicious.
Hot sauce? What?
You don't have to put the hot sauce on.
Let's put the hot sauce. The apple and the peanut butter sounds actually kind of decent. Apples and peanut butter. Hot sauce.
So don't put. I put hot sauce on everything.
Ketchup. Maybe put some spinach and ketchup on there.
I put spinach in it.
Get some cheese. And so that's how we're ending. That's how we're ending this, Kyle.
Peanut butter, green apples, and toast.
Peanut butter, hot sauce, ketchup sandwich.
All right.
Goodbye, everybody. Eat that sandwich. It'll be